that my sound is on. Let's see. Sorry about that. Okay. This is the the monster of the day. Okay. Everybody knows that it's happening right now, the Open Gaming License, and I wanted to talk about this in two different ways, both for non-commercial use that I was very interested in, and for commercial use because, well, that's the main controversy. Now I'll be marking as yellow the parts that are yes, you can use the link on top that you can see here to connect and see at the same time. Okay, let me see if it's allowed to. No. Anyone with the link? Yes. So you can check on that link and come in and have a look as I'm working on it. Anyway, let's see. Now, I'm marking in yellow the things that are non-commercial because I'm more interested in that. But let's see about what it is commercial as well. Okay, there is one problem here that it mentions what you can use and where you can use it. And it mentions that within Dungeon Masters Guild, you can use Forgotten Realms setting and other settings that are not included in the SRD. You're supposed to be able to use those things in the fun content policy, but it's not mentioned here. So that is one issue. There is a second issue that it mentions that it's asking for a cut out of the people that make more than 750,000 per year. Not make, sorry, that have a revenue of more than 750,000 per year. But that is not guaranteed to be reduced. So at any point, they can change the OGL and make it under $1. So everybody would be liable to pay this amount or another percentage or whatever. It's very unstable. It's a very unstable relationship. Not unequal. It was always unequal, but this is also very unstable. Now, they ask for people to give a lot of information, and this sounds a lot of like the essentials line of Amazon, that Amazon, as it sells things, it understands what people want, and they make copies or independent imports of things that are well margined, profit margined, so that they can make the sales. So what happens here is that if independent creator makes a product like something for special for elves, let's say, and it makes a huge amount of sales, they want to know how many sales, how much money you made from it, so that they can make a relevant product and have a cut out of your sales. It's very bad competition. It's kind of a oligopolistic, but the real issue comes later when it says that they can use your IP, which means that you can make this hugely successful supplement for elves, and then they see that it sells very well, and then they take it and put it in one of their books. That would make them wealthier, and you not. So they're asking you to tell them about your products, their sales, and adding a badge, but that's not really important from what I can understand. Telling you about their products and their sales would definitely open you up to dishonest competition from them. Now, it says also that this entire thing was not supposed to subsidize major competitors. I wanted to point out that it was. It was intended to subsidize competitors and to create an industry out of a nerdy niche. D&D in the 70s and 80s was a very small business. RPGs were a very small business. They didn't have a real industry. Now it's huge. It has boiled over to every kind of gaming. I mean, it's a genre. RPG gaming is a genre in console gaming and every other kind. Even on mobile phones you can get, well, not real RPG gaming, but they call it RPG gaming. But it's something that happened because the OGL existed. Basically, the OGL created an industry out of a very small business. Now, they also say that hugely successful businesses that generate more than $750,000 of annual revenue, I really do not understand how these are hugely successful businesses. A revenue of $750,000 as a revenue is not that big of a revenue. The average business does not get a 10% margin of profit. Okay, profit margin is something that distinguishes what you get from your customers to what you put in your pocket, what you have money to spend for your child's toys or your carpets, home carpets. 750,000, if you get a 10% profit margin, which is a very good profit margin, then you get a 75,000 profit per year. That's barely enough for 2 full-time employees. Admittedly, that within the 90% that is not on your profit margin includes all your employees. So this 1 or 2 full-time employees is just for the business. The 75,000 a year profit is just for the business. And if they ask for 20% for, well, not for the 7,500, the 750,000, but for the extra, that does not leave anything if you sell more than this amount per year. It's very stretched to say that it's hugely successful for that kind of revenue. Well, let me check that. It's about 60,000 a month. Really not that much. Well, it is a success. And if you consider yourself a one-person company, it's a huge success, but you cannot make 750,000 revenue as a single-person entrepreneur. It's impossible. And those 20 companies that they mention, they have dozens of full-time employees and several contractors to work with to make that kind of income. Anyway, let's go on. Okay. Uh, Now, they mention that they are giving you time to make a transition because they will start demanding money from you from January and on. But that is not really honest. It might be true, but it's not honest. What is happening here is that they are announcing these new rules 2 weeks before they want you to sign them. So you do not have enough time to find another solution. And if you do not sign them, you're excluded from the OGL from this year, not from next year. So it's a matter of putting a gun to your forehead and telling you sign, and you do not have enough time to plan for anything else. Well, in the end of this video, I'll talk to you about making a plan to do something else. I love you. Well, yeah, that's it basically. And I do not want this to happen to anybody. I consider this a very toxic, unfeeling, unempathetic, horrible, nasty. Well, I could go on. And I'm going to try to give an alternative. Given that I am not an experienced game mechanics writer, my solution might not be anything good. But the business plan is. And I'll talk to you about it later on in this video. Okay. Now, how do we agree to the OGL commercial? Anyone publishing under the commercial license will need to register that content with us by creating an account, providing us with identifying info, the title of the new work, the summary of the work, and once the work is available to others, a copy of the work. So they want a copy of the work. And when you complete your registration, you will also be confirming your agreement with the terms of the OGL. No, that's not true. They want you to agree by the 13th of January, as mentioned. Not when you'll be reconfirming your agreement with the OGL. Okay. I hope we'll get the links soon. Okay, what if I don't like these terms and I don't agree? That's fine. Not really, because it means that you cannot earn income from any SRD D&D content you create after the 13th of January 2023. So, you only have 2 weeks, still, well, less than 2 weeks, to work with the previous regime. If you don't agree, in less than 2 weeks' time, you're well, the word starts with an F, and you're fine. Dear me. And you need to either operate under the new OGL, non-commercial, or strike a direct custom deal with the Wizards of the Coast for the project. Right. What? Whatever. If you want to publish an SRD-based content and commercialize it, you're only... Oh! So, what this says is that even if you don't agree, you agree. The only way you can use the OGL, the SRD, is under agreeing with the OGL and do it not commercially, which is not agree. Well, So there is you will need to either operate under the new OGL or strike a custom direct deal with the Wizards of the Coast for your project. Which is something they said, this direct deal is something they said that they'll do for big companies. For the companies that they are making this entire thing proposally. I mean, it's ridiculous. But if you want to publish SRD-based content after, if you want to commercialize it, there is only one option: acquiesce. Why is Wizard of the Coast updating and subdividing into commercial and uncommercial? A lot has changed since the OGL was launched, and that means the old license has some unintended applications, and we need to fix it. Unwanted, not unintended. For example, when we released YouTube, apps, blockchain, crowdfunding, and other everyday technologies and distribution channels didn't exist in the way that they do today. Crowdfunding didn't exist. Blockchain didn't exist. Well, blockchain it's not used. I've never seen blockchain used in anything OGL related. Apps. Oh, we had apps. We didn't have phone apps, but we had apps. Amazing apps. Anyway, YouTube. I'm not sure where it started, but it might have been 20 years. I don't know. When did YouTube start? – 2005. Okay. So it didn't. God, that's recent. Everyday technologies, distribution. The OGL didn't intend to fund major competitors. Okay, we talked about the intention of funding major competitors. It did. And it wasn't intended to allow people to make D&D apps. Oh, yes, it was. Videos. Well, not intended, no. Anything other than printed or printable materials for use while gaming. No. What it says here is basically that it was intended only for printed materials while gaming. You would definitely not need an SRD. It was made so that you can make a profit out of making new kinds of games and new kinds of add-ons to the game. It was made to make an industry. We're updating the OGL in part to make that very clear. Okay, now what this is happening, what it says is gaslighting. This is what narcissists do to their victims. You know what reality is. They insist that reality is not what you think. They insist that reality is what they would prefer reality to be. This does not change reality. Reality is what you know, not what they say. Okay, that made me a bit angry. Okay, additionally, over time, the old OGL incorporates some confusing and contradictory provisions. It was also written in fairly dense legal... What? It was also written in fairly dense legal language. No, it was not. It was 700 words. 900 words. This is 9,000. Okay, this is ridiculous. Okay, this is gaslighting. pure gaslighting. Contradictory provisions. I'm sure that there is one or two. There are several in this one. So while we're updating it to take account of development since it was last revised and breaking out commercial use into a separate category, this was about commercial use. We're also simplifying the language and streamlining the provisions so that it's easier to understand and comply with. Right. Easier to... the reason is because you want it easier to understand and to comply with, right? For even more clarity, we've included comments that should help illustrate what provisions do, which you can access by clicking the relevant comment links and license documents. Okay. Now this copy that we have does not have the links. I hope we get them soon. Oh, if anybody has the links, would they give me links for the links? Well, you know what I mean. We strongly believe that the power of creativity and the goal of all OGL is the... Oh, this is to help our incredible community to build and share campaign supplements and enrich the way we play D&D. Right. So, they are not only the arbiters of reality, they are also the good guys. If they repeat it enough, somebody might believe it. Who can I contact if I don't understand something? Oh, so if you don't understand something, it is going to be determined where you can reach them. Before using or signing either part of the license. So it's going to be determined. Well, it's the 9th of January. Sometime before the 13th, probably. I'm sure they'll have hundreds of people to help you understand what this fine thing is. The preceding material is not part... Non-commercial. Okay, this is interesting. Any non-commercial use of license defined below is subject to this agreement. By using licensed content in this manner, you agree to the terms of the agreement. Well, yeah. This agreement contains your consent to jurisdiction in Washington State for any disputes between you and us, and your agreement that any such disputes will be resolved in individual litigation heard by a judge rather than a jury. So you're waiving a jury. Interesting. If a dispute ever occurs, we hope you agree with us that it's best all around if it's handled quickly, efficiently, and with the least expense possible. I would imagine that I would agree with you if it's handled justly. But that is not a consideration, probably. They want quickly and without them paying anything. And they want you to agree with that. Content covered and not. Dungeons and Dragons involve several different categories of content created by the creator, the you, and the Wizards of the Coast and its parents, affiliates, suppliers, and distributors. Us or we. Okay. Here are the different kinds of content and how they relate to this license. Content covered. Usable D&D. Okay, this is about the non-commercial part. Usable D&D content. This is the content included in the SRD 5.1, including basic game mechanics, curated selection. Not usable D&D coded, unlicensed content. It has been later on official. It's not present. Unlicensed content includes things like the most famous dungeon master. What? This is about the non. So they are removing the non. Okay. Up to now, the fun content policy allowed you to use anything of their IP other than the game mechanics that is not included in the SRD, and videos, music, and the trademark logos. Everything else you can use. Now, what this says is that this agreement does not allow you to use the unusable, the unlicensed content that includes all the things that used to be included. Unlicensed content is not covered by this agreement. You agree not to use unlicensed content unless your use is specifically authorized by separate agreement with us. This is basically for the DM's guild. So the DM's guild probably will be able to, unless they change it. If you want to include that content in your work, you must go through the Dungeon Masters Guild, yes, or other official channels. Okay. So they're gutting the non-commercial use. Your content, these characters, creations you have crafted, they are your original contributions to the works that you want to sell. This is the... Yes, this is the non-commercial part. Okay, this is badly written. This license permits you to combine your content with a licensed content and commercially distribute the resulting... What is... Works covered. This license applies to materials you create for use as role-playing. Dear God. Okay, your content. This is current. Okay, the license applies only to materials you create. Okay, so they allow only static electronic files such as EPUBs and PDFs. Does not allow the distribution of any other form of media. Does not apply to the creation of anything else. So it has to be static electronic files and printed files. Well, yeah, HTML files are static. So sites are okay, what I was interested in basically. To be clear, OGL non-commercial only allows for creation of role-playing games and supplements in printed media and static electronic file formats. It does not allow for anything else, including and unlimited to videos. Non-commercial does not allow videos, virtual tabletops, or VTT campaigns, computer games, novels, apps, graphic novels, music, song, dances, and pantomime. Okay, pantomimes really hurts. You may engage in these activities only to the extent allowed under the Wizards of the Coast content policy or separately agreed. Okay, this is clearly about the non-commercial, and they don't allow videos. There go the YouTubers. Licensed work for the work non-commercial must meet all 4 criteria. It qualifies as covered work defined by 1B. IB. 1B probably. What is 1B? 1A, B. Okay, so it has to be, okay, it has to be PDFs or static. It contains both licensed content and your content. Yeah, so that you don't just reprint the SRD. It does not contain unlicensed content. And it contains the text of the non-commercial within the body of the work. License. If and only if you fully comply with the terms and conditions of the agreement, you may use, modify, and distribute licensed content around the world as commercial basis, on a non-commercial basis, meaning for free, not in exchange of anything of value or money. Okay. That's a bit weird. Because, anyway, the way that advertising works, visiting your site is something of value, but that is iffy. We may offer others the ability to use licensed content and non-licensed content under any conditions we choose. Well, yeah. You may not transfer your rights and duties under this agreement under any circumstances for any reason. This license is not sublicensable. Whatever. Comments. As we said in the intro, commercial distributions is any distributions you get paid from, money, crypto, barter. Your brother doing your chores for a week. Whatever. It does not include donations people give you to support your work as long as they have access to your work for free if they choose to, and you inform them of that in a clear and obvious way. Well, I was checking out a video earlier that it says that a lot of Patreon users actually have the system that they provide everything in a simple text format for free. And then they provide it also in premium graphics content for payment for their patrons. This forbids both. Oh, no, this forbids only the second one. You cannot get paid for it in any way, because the second thing has their content in it, and that has to be free without, barriers. Okay. Now, I have recently purchased a full library of 3D files to print minis, and it has a lot of things that are protected. But this guy has them on an open folder, hidden open folder, on Google Drive. So basically, anybody that has the link can take those things. So there is no limit to the access. But he does not inform us in a very clear way, and definitely not in an obvious way, that this is true. You only learn it if you pay. Well, you only learn it by implications after you pay. Oh, so many people are going to be fine. Ownership. You agree that we own copyright, trademark, and patent rights if any of the license can... Okay. I agree that you own your copyright. you agree that we own copyright, trademark, and patent rights, if any, in the licensed content and the unlicensed content. Okay, inside the licensed and unlicensed content, you own it. Whereas other rights not Oh, I already agreed to that. So if they took something of mine, I give it up. Okay, we reserve all rights not expressly given to you through this agreement. Okay, what is not said is not given. You agree to include any copyright or other rights of notices included with the licensed content in your licensed works. And you may not impose any additional, different, or inconsistent terms or conditions with respect to the licensed content in any license you grant to any licensed works. Okay, this is not bad. This basically says that you can say that all your IPs for sale, the only thing not for sale is the exact things that these people provide you. That's weirdly reasonable. That's the first reasonable I've seen in this thing. Identification of licensed content. You must identify your licensed works, which content is your content and which content is their content. And they have to understand the distinction without checking any other document. How the fine is that possible? This is painful. Comments. If you can identify content in any manner you want to, whether it's using different font. Okay, they're telling us how to set up different fonts for licensed content. An asterisk next to licensed content. So, without referencing another document, they have to understand the distinction between licensed work and unlicensed work. And the work that I own. Is this for the... Yes, this is for the non-commercial. What the fine are they doing? Yeah. Okay, this is amazing. I've dealt with narcissists. This is amazing. It's not enough to simply state the statement that your license will include licensed content. Okay. So you cannot use anything for non-commercially. You cannot use anything without a copyright lawyer with you. So DMs making stuff and putting it online or giving it to their players, they have to note, okay, this is copyrighted, this is not copyrighted, this is copyrighted, this is not copyrighted, this is SRD content, and explain without a separate document what that is, because they have to understand it and tell what's what. So I know what this is. This is making everything illegal so that they can punish the people that they don't like. There is absolutely no way that they're going to go after DMs giving handouts to their players on a tabletop. Absolutely no way. If they do this, well, probably it's illegal. Well, most probably it's illegal. But even if it wasn't, it would be their end. But dear God, this is they're doing this to hunt down the people that they don't like. Okay. Share alike. We're letting you use licensed content for free because you're using it on a non-commercial basis. If you want to better protect your ownership, you may register under commercial. You agree that others can do the same with your work. This means each time you distribute or otherwise make your work available, you offer the recipient a license to the work on the same terms and conditions granted to you under this license. So they can never use it. Okay, this is amazing. What they're telling you is that if I make an extra spell like measuring water, so that you can measure the water in a lake, how much water there is there, and I write it up, and then I say that, okay, this part and this part, the understanding of this is, I don't know, divination and how many actions it takes and whatever else. This is content of the gaming license, and that part is part of my IP. And if you add anything to this, then you have to say that that part is of the SRD, and this part is from Lambros's IP, and this part is from this IP, and all these things have to be marked clearly. So that's not fine. And this is for non-commercial use. Non-commercial use needs this. I really don't know what to say. I know. Fine. Fine, you. You may not. Okay. You may distribute a copy. You must distribute a copy of the license alongside your work. So if I publish, I don't know, 3 spells, because this is non-commercial, I'm not going to do books. I have to add this abomination to it. Actually, what this says is that when I give out handouts to my players, next Sunday, or is it next Sunday? No, the Sunday after that, I have to include the license either on the front or on the back of the handouts. Donations. You may donate your brain. No, I wish I could. Your distribution of your work must be non-commercial. This means that you cannot require that anyone can give you... Okay, no money. We talked about this. You're permitted to accept donations on Patreon, Ko-fi. Okay, I don't know about that one. I have to check it. Ko-fi. Sound nice. Or other similar plans, provided donations are not conditional. Okay, this is again the same thing. If you make your work available for free, let's contribute. Fine. Also subscribers, patrons. Okay, so you cannot say that it's non-commercial if only subscribers and patrons get it. Everything you give out that has OGL stuff in it has to be given also to non-subscribers and non-patrons. Yeah, you can work around that. You can work around that. I'm sure you can work around that. You can make a legal way to do this. I'm sure you can. But what they're asking is horrible. Anyway. Commercial. Okay. Then your free work is commercial. And it's revenue. Okay, we talked about this. Disclaimers. I am over 18. Well, yeah. If you're then a parent or guardian must agree. You have the power authority to enter into agreement unless you're turned into a vegetable by reading it. Your guardian paper and documentation provided to you as soon as possible. If we require additional documentation from you in connection, you will provide it to us as soon as possible. You will comply with any requirements we have related to this agreement, such as registering or creating an account with us. Our licensed works do not infringe third-party intellectual properties or are not licensed to you by agreement of any other. Yeah. Okay, that's not... If you will not state, suggest, or imply that your license is endorsed, associated... I definitely do not want to be associated with you, except that you must include the text. So, what I should say is that I am not associated with them, not endorsed, and I must put this text in because they're fine. To indicate your lessons were complied with this agreement. You will not violate the law in any way relating to this agreement or your licensed works. They are going to be the arbiters of law-abiding. You will not use any content or works covered by section or harmful, discriminatory, illegal, obscene, or harassing purposes. The thing with this is, first of all, it needs a caveat. It needs a caveat unless it's the evil baddies doing it, and your characters are called upon to destroy the evil baddies that are oppressing and enslaving and raping and pillaging. So, yeah, this needs some help. I'm sure they don't mean that, but you cannot sign something because you're sure they do not mean that. I mean, Orcus is a character in D&D. You will not do anything that could harm our reputation. I don't think you get any reputation left after this. That of Dungeons and Dragons has a reputation of licensed content or unlicensed content. This means that you don't say anything bad about us. Okay, for purposes of clarity, this purpose does not apply to criticism of Wizards of the Coast or licensed content. Unlicensed content does not independently violate these provisions. Okay, I can criticize. Good. I will not you'll not attempt to circumvent or go around this agreement in any way. What is that? That's to say that if you find a way to work with this agreement, sorry about that. Okay, right. So if you find a way to work with this agreement, but not do what they envision, but not exactly stipulate here, then you're in the wrong. This is so fine. This agreement may be modified or terminated. Okay, this is the fun part. Modification. This agreement is, along with the OGL commercial, an update to the previously available, which is no longer an authorized license agreement. Okay, now, this is highly contested. This idea that you can deauthorize license agreements is not clear that it can be done. At the time that the previous OGL happened, from the time that the previous OGL happened until now, there is an addition to how the law works in the US. Perpetual contracts have an extra word that need so that they can be perpetual. They have this irrevocable word that need to be perpetual. So at the time of the OGL 1.0a, the law was that you did not need an extra word for it to be perpetual. Perpetual was perpetual. But in the meantime, there was a court decision. Do not ask me which one it is. Ask a lawyer. And this court decision said that perpetual means that it's of an undefined ending. And at any point, this can be defined. The problem with this, in this particular case, is that there are FAQs, written FAQs, and at the time of the OGL 1.0a, that express that this is a perpetual agreement that is forever and ever. And if anything changes, this will also be like way to continue. So you can continue using this even if the next one is not to your liking. Now they're trying to erase that. They will not be able to, but the problem is that they will not be able to win a court case with this. The problem is that Hasbro has so much money and so many lawyers that I do not know that if it's ever going to come to court. I really don't. It's sad and it's illegal, but it's what it is. It's fine. That's what it is. It's fine. You US people do not like to swear. I don't understand it. I love swearing. The real me would be more like a pirate swearing in a bad storm right now instead of saying fine every 5 sentences. Okay. Oh, they will give 30 days notice, and they will provide notice of such changes by posting their revision on the website and making public announcements of the changes through our social media channels. They do not mention where exactly they have to do that. Okay. They have to do it in one website and at least 2 social media channels. Okay. We may terminate the agreement immediately if... Okay, we're continuing. We're still in the non-commercial part. You infringe on misuse intellectual property, violate the law in relation to your activities under this agreement, or if we determine that in our sole discretion you have violated the 8G8H. 8G and H, which one is the... Okay, this is the 8. And the G, there is no G, and there is no H in 8. Okay, this is the 8, and there's the A, the capital A, the capital B, and then there is an A, B, C, and there is a C capital, then there's comments, termination, and then there is the 9. There is no G and H. No G and H. I want to be fine, and you okay, you covenant. I do not understand that word, and my English is rather good. And you agree that you do not contest any determination via any suit or other legal action. So we are going to fine you with sections that do not exist. And you cannot contest. You also waive any duty of good faith and fair dealing we would otherwise have in making such a determination. So you basically accept that they have no good faith and no fair dealing in determining anything. Okay, this is honest, at least. So, you're not allowed to sue or take any other legal action. And you cannot even ask them of their duty to good faith and fair dealing. My God. This is... I actually had this recently from a toxic person in my life. You breach any other term conditions agreement, the breach is not cured within 30... Any other. You breach any other term or conditions agreement, and it's not cured until 30 days under section A. Huh? They will post your breaches on social media and website. And you have to... Oh my dear God. They will communicate with you. This is really weird. First of all, they say that if you breach any other term or condition, so infringing or misusing intellectual property does not give them the right to notice of breach of communication, to provide you with a breach of notice of breach. Okay, this is just bad writing. You bring an action challenging their ownership. Oh, they will terminate. If you bring an action of... They will terminate if you breach any term or condition. It's not bad writing, it's just weird writing, yeah. You bring an action challenging us. Okay. So if they steal something from you and you challenge it, you lose any access. Licensed, unlicensed, anything. You may terminate this agreement at any time by seizing all distribution license or provided with notice. We know this may come off strong, but this is important. Okay, I remind you, this is for the non-commercial part. But this is important. And distribution of the license. If you attempt to use OGL as basically release blatantly sexist, transphobic, bigoted, otherwise discriminatory content, or do anything with it triggers provisions, contents, you're no longer licensed. Support. This is amazing. Now, this is interesting. In the article that fired up everybody in Gizmodo, they said that they are ready to change things if they receive community pushback. I have not seen this up to now, unless this is it. I'll have to continue on, but this is not it. So, right now, they're saying that if they overdo it on the non-racist, non-bigoted things that they prefer, they know that they will receive pushback and bad PR, so that will make them go back on what they're pushing. At this time, they are getting bad PR, to say the least. Pushback, amazingly widespread. If they don't go back, which must have been their intention all along, but if they don't go back on what they're doing, this also is not important. It's as if they didn't say it. It's as if defining reality as something that it's not. Okay, termination. Upon termination of this agreement, we'll see sales and distribution of your licensed work. I will cease sales and distribution of my licensed work. How am I supposed to cease sales of all? This is the non-commercial part. You find people. Your obligation to pay royalty survives the termination of this agreement. Non-commercial. Indemnity. If you get in legal trouble, or get us in legal trouble, this is what will happen. If you are receiving the end of any legal expenses, license work, okay, if you did something wrong to somebody else and this boils over to us, you pay for our defense. And if you hire lawyers that we don't like, we get to hire other lawyers, and you will have to pay for that. And we will only defend our IP, not your IP, even if we are in court. Other products, something like we can't and won't cancel products out of something. We can't and won't cancel products out of fear that they'd be seen as similar to licensed works. Therefore, huh? You agree that nothing prohibits us from developing, distributing, selling, or promoting something that is substantially similar to a licensed work. You own the new and original content you create. You agree to give us non-exclusive, perpetual, irrevocable, worldwide, sublicensable, royalty-free license to use that content for any purpose. Okay, this is the amazing thing. This is what I consider unpaid labor. They give you the tools. Well, not all the tools. They give you limited tools to do your work. And they get to profit from your work explicitly. And they get to never pay you for that work. Wonderful. For clarity, nothing contained in the section affects your agreement, license work, and license content. If anything else. Disclaimer warranties, you understand, you agree, providing permit content as is. No representation. Okay. So this is basically saying if we broke the law and you broke the law because of using our illegal content, we don't care. Well, the opposite, we talked about us paying their lawyers. Limitation of liability. We have no liability to you for any types of damages in connection to your use of the licensed content, including without limitation to any indirect, consequential, special, punitive, or exemplary damages, as long as our conduct at issue is not grossly negligent or intentional. That's weird. Oh, they want it to be either. Oh, they want to be. Okay. They want to be considered. They want us to be. Okay, this is the defamation thing, probably. Because if you defame somebody that is a well-known figure, you have to prove grossly. But they are well-known. This is weird. If we're giving you a license, we're giving you a license Not agreeing to take potential liability when you do so. We are giving you a license, not agreeing to take on potential liability when we do so. To be honest, we are not really sure what we could do while making the instructor content available to you that could be grossly negligent, but our lawyers saying that we need to include that last clause under Washington law, and so in it goes. Okay, weird stuff. Probably something litigated that implies that you need that. Notices. Any notices you send in must be sent us via email too. You may send notices. We may send to you to any email or physical address we can locate for you, including the email address you use in registration if you're just an account on the platform. Okay, entire agreement and disclaimer alliance. This agreement governs your use of the licensed content unless otherwise stated in this agreement. So they can change anything, but they have to provide notice. And you can terminate by removing all your rights. Okay, we're about done with the non-commercial part. And we're about to go to the commercial. This is amazing. I am amazed. And determine the assessment severability in the event of the enforceable and valid for any reason. That's agreement enforced by. Okay, let me see if this is still going on. Yep, this is still going on. Governing laws agreement. Waiver of a jury trial. Okay, you have to go to them to adjudicate anything, and you may not, and you no longer have the right for a jury trial, which is the right you have in the US. Okay. Now, let's get started with the commercial part. Okay. The Washington State part. And they don't want to pay anything, and you have to agree with that. Well, they hope that you agree with that they don't have to pay anything. Content covered and not. That involves several different categories of content. Usable D&D content, licensed content, is in the SRT 5.1. Basic game mechanics and a curated selection of stuff of the 5th edition. So it's not the D&D 1. Okay, not usable D&D content, unlicensed content, Okay. It's basically the same thing that they wrote before for the non-commercial, your content. No other media, only static electronic files. And printed. Printed media. I think it needs a clarification if it includes 3D printed media. Well, as it's here, it's probably included. I would think so. Who the fine knows. Okay, to be clear, commercial, yeah, really clear. A commercial only allows for creation of role-playing games, supplements, printed media, static from anything else. Does not allow various virtual tabletops, and you cannot have commercial pantomimes. Yeah. You may engage in these activities only to the extent. What about paid DMs? What about paid DMs? It's behind a paywall. You cannot take part if you're not paying. Paid DMs excluded. Clearly so. Unless there's an exception. For criteria. It qualifies as covered works, as definition. Displays creator content. They'll give us a picture. They're going to drop it in. Okay. Choose. We may transfer. You may not transfer your rights, duties under this agreement under any circumstances or for any reason. This is weird. So you cannot sell your company if you've ever used their rights. This is amazing. You agree that we own copyright, trademark, and patent rights. Yeah. So, if I make a D&D world, like Forgotten Realms, and I want independent creators to use my world to make adventures, I cannot, because I cannot transfer my rights and duties. They have to come in agreement with, they have to come in agreement with Wizard of the Coast to be able to use it. Okay, that's not bad. Identify lessons for comments. You can identify content. Okay, this identify thing. That's the same thing as before. Okay, they could reach out for a better license arrangement. The initiate tier, if you have registered at least one licensed work and you haven't generated $50,000 or more total gross revenue from OGL, it includes taxes. Commercial products in a given year. So they want their cut out of the entire thing that you sell, even if it has a very little part that is OGL. Yeah, it's not a percentage thing. Yeah, they want the entire thing. Why the tiers? Well, I'll tell you why the tiers. Because 750,000 sounds like a huge amount, and it's not. It's not. It really isn't. And they want you to tell them however much money you make. We already talked about them using this as market research to make products that they know that will sell. They will also know what pricing they need to do without paying market researchers to do the job for them. And they will know when you try to trick them. So, if I had a company that was making $1.5 million in their commercial license, I would never not create a separate legal entity every single time I produced another product. So if I'm doing something for dwarfs, new company, Dwarf Inc. If I'm doing something for halflings, new company, Halfling Inc. Generally, I would cut those 750,000 pieces as much as possible, so that even if, I don't know, maybe I do 3 things, and the first 2 do 200,000 each, and the third does $1 million. The first 2 are exempt, and the third one is only taxed at the top 250,000 instead of being taxed at the entire 200 plus 200 plus 250. But if they see that this is being done, and they see way too many companies around the, 100,000 mark, they will reduce the 700,000 threshold to 100,000 or to 50,000 or to $1. This is a bad business plan. This is a really bad business plan. This is not a business plan. This is a way to kill an industry. They have decided that this is the end of every other part of this industry other than them. They will suck up everything that is left over, and it'll be a smaller pie, but it'll be almost all of it theirs. That is the problem of people that do not think in dynamic systems. They do not understand that people under duress do not continue to be the same kind of victim that they had been for the first couple of weeks of this. I assure you that if I am a person that is doing an independent OGL right this time, and I've never done anything like it, I am sure that there are at least 50 other people doing this. Okay, payment tiers of 0% royalties, 700 examples, comments. Okay, fundraising. You pay if you do fundraising, and there is the $1 more than 750,000, and you have to be over 18, and there is a termination thing. Let me see if there is anything different. Okay, let me see if it has an 8G and H here. No, it does not have an 8G and H here. It goes down to 8C. It does not have an 8G and H here either. The stupidity, oh no, the fineness of these people is amazing. Okay, how much more is there of this? No, this is it. So there is no, well, what the Gizmodo article said is that this is, God, good Lord. It said that this, what is it? Okay, this is it. Okay, what happened? Let me see. Okay, give me a moment. Don't get... Where is it? I had this. And it's here. Let me see if it's visible to everybody. Yes, it is visible to everybody. Good. Okay, this is the thing that I'm preparing. But what was I saying? I was saying something about... oh, yeah. If there's just me doing this work, I am really sure that I am not inventing the wheel. What? Okay, let me get started with this. I am a career coach. I'm a life coach and business coach, but my main focus is a career coach. And for some time now, I've been, well, I'm changing careers because I used to be a trainer in a non-related field. And that business went to some other people. And I am reinventing what I'm doing. And I'm falling back to my second part-time job as a career coach. Anyway, the thing that I understood out of this entire thing is that this entire industry was born out of the intellectual property of a few people that made the base rules of D&D 3rd edition, later D&D 5th edition. And in 4th edition there was a hiccup, and 5th edition was much better. And this thing, the OGL 1.0a, is the 5th edition thing. And now that they are moving away from the 5th edition, they want to do the hiccup again. So what I understood is that the entire industry was focused on this document that was made for D&D. it was not made for what it was used. It was not made for Pathfinder and Vampire and World of Darkness and whoever else wanted to use it as a basis for their worlds. So I was thinking, since I am not particularly attached to creating a specific gaming model to produce as, I don't know, a sci-fi thing or whatever, I could start. Well, I really want it to be a collaboration with other people. I do not want to have this by myself. But I could start a thing that will give just that, a basis. The basic rules for a system that will be able to carry on its back every kind of gaming system. Horror stories, very simple RPG gaming, and sci-fi, high fantasy, which is my love. And this is what I started doing. I was talking with, oh God, what's his name? Derek something. I'm sorry about that, Derek. Anyway, I was talking with Derek, and if my tabletop is listening, this is not the mouse. This is another Derek. I was talking to Derek, not the mouse, about finding another basis for our creativity. Instead of basing ourselves with the base rules of D&D 5e, we could base it to something else. And we came onto a system that was really well written. Oh God, what was it called? Okay, I'll find it and I'll tell you. Just give me a moment. It was, okay, let's go to YouTube. And let's go to my history. And I'll find it there. Okay, good, I'm live. Library, history. Okay, it's Derek the Diligent. His YouTube thingamajigget. And checking out the Relict system. The Relic system made by Chris Guy, really, well, his pictures, he's really fun. A guy with another Chris Guy, who also looks quite fun. This is a really well thought out system, but it's too complicated. Too many things are convoluted because it's the preference of the game maker. Also, it's the preference of the whole understanding of the world that the game maker made this system to accommodate. So what I was thinking is make a generic one that everybody could use freely. So let me get you started with this. Introduction. Hello, my friends. We are entering a dream world. Here our dreams are coming true in an unexpected but definitely needed way. Okay, this is needed. You heard me before why it's needed. This is a project of love brought to you by avid RPG players and professionals. Right now, if I'm being honest, it's just me and a little bit of Derek. This is a way to never again be tied to a corporate licensing agreement. Not talking about something in specific. In January 2023, well, this is January 2023, the industry's main mechanics came into an uncertainty period. And this is what I believe this period is. I do not believe that this OGL will end up as it's announced, as it's leaked. I believe that this was a feint. This was an initial salvo so that everybody gets scared, and whatever they propose, we are kind of happy with it. I do not believe that this was meant to be used. It's not even well written. And the non-commercial part is horrendous, which I would have considered impossible to do because of the work DMs need to do homebrew. Anyway, uh, this is an uncertainty period. And I don't think I could ever trust these people with the future of creativity, in my understanding. I could trust them with making a good game. Yeah, definitely. I probably would switch to a VTT that they made. It's probably going to be easy, especially if it's under the auspices of D&D and Beyond. I mean, if the people that decide how D&D and Beyond works decide about the VTT, I would definitely use that, if it's not so expensive. And but I would not create anything I would not use that non-commercial thing. Not use it. I don't really need to, but I wanted to be able to use mechanics. Anyway, this is in answer of this uncertainty. This uncertainty was presented in a corporate way that included a lack of love for our hobby. This is abundantly clear to me. And a general lack of empathy for creators. I have seen people on the verge of tears because of this, and they did this publicly. I am sure that they were in tears right before. This kind of thing that, you know, who says that, okay, this big burly guy, he came to me crying. They were crying because of this. And I do not see anybody caring for creators at all. Okay, you can see me getting worked up. This is because I've been in a toxic environment for a long time, and I'm coming out of it, and I'm feeling very protective of people that are in a toxic environment. This pushed a group of unconnected fans to network and work for the elimination of this toxic environment. Okay, now, I am not really part of a group of unconnected fans networked. I hope to be. So I am not interested in owning this thing, and I'm not interested in actually running it. I am interested in helping it become. I would love to coach this entire thing until its birth. And then I will do whatever else it needs, unless people are willing to take it over. And I'm hoping that people that are much more experienced than me can take it over, and I can stick to what I'm good at, coaching people for succeeding in their careers, which is something that I actually might be doing right now for this industry. Anyway, using this book, that was very, very high-minded of me. I'm sorry about that. This book is free for you to use as long as you reference it properly. We'll find a way for it to be referenced. I don't really care for it, but I want it to be referenced. I want people to know that there is a free resource like this. You may use it as a basis or as an enhancement to your project. You can pick and choose, and you can make money out of your final product in any way you want. You can even make money out of the book itself by becoming a consultant or of official expansions and unofficial expansions. Now, in considering that this will need some money, I would imagine that official consultants will be people that are working with it, and they would be paid. And unofficial ones will be paid and not working with it. I mean, will not be in the creators team, and there will be unofficial consultants, and official ones will be the ones that are. It's a start. Expansions. Okay, what I'm trying to do is create the basis, and then on it you can hook up your world. So expansions is your world. So you take the mechanics of this and you choose rule add-ons that are given here, and then you add flair, fluff, and flavor. What this means is that you can develop role-playing games in most genres, like high fantasy, dark fantasy, horror, or modern, or sci-fi, or whatever else. Because I love this thing, I will be working on a high fantasy model expansion to begin with. So you will see some examples of high fantasy in the things as I go on. You might be interested in. Our first official will be high fantasy. Official expansions help us fund this project. Yes, official expansions and unofficial leave you free to expand with virtually no limits. So you will be able to expand with no limits, do whatever you want with this book. Well, I call it Toggle. It's a true open gaming license. Toggle. And I wanted to, well, I like the D&D thing. And I also very recently bought the domain dndworld.com. And so I named the working group Dragons Connected and Networked and Dragons Networked and Dedicated. So it's a D&D thing too. But it's a work in progress. Anyway, our ethics. Okay, and this is important. We have enforced and beloved ethics. Our enforced ethics include empathy and kindness. This is not negotiable for me. If you work without empathy and without kindness, you are not allowed to work with us. You can still use this thing, but you'll not work with us. And we will not support you in any other specific way. Our beloved ethics include reciprocation and community support. We will do reciprocation, we will do community support, and we will do more, but we will not demand it either of us or of you to be supported by us. Becoming a dragon, there are two kinds of dragons, metal ones and paper ones. Metal ones support us financially, while paper ones are creative backbones. I made a Patreon at D&D World. You can check it out. You really do not need to pay anything. The highest tier is the Book Dragon, and the Book Dragon doesn't have to pay anything if he doesn't want to. He can just be a contributor. A volunteer, not a contributor. So, let's get mechanics. We love the idea of simple rules, but understand that for a TTRPG to work for you, might need some extra complexity. We are creating basic rules that can be used by themselves or use the add-ons at your pleasure. This will be very clear to you right now. So we're going to start with stats. This is the strength, dexterity, constitution part of things. And this is the thing that I've worked, well, this is something I started today, so this is the thing I worked the most. So, each opponent or adventurer has basic stats. Adventurers are PCs, opponents are NPCs and monsters. Some are storytelling stats, age, looks, clothes, and wealth, and other stats have an impact on game mechanics. Storytelling stats are expansion specific. So, what kind of ages and looks and clothes and wealth people have is something that has to do with your expansion. the fluff, the flavor that you add. And here we'll talk about the mechanics. Okay. And we'll have two main stats: physique and mentality. These two are enough. You do not need all six that 5e has. And for a child-safe game, this might be much easier. But we divide each into three, rather similar to the 5e things, but you'll see that it's much clearer and much more, well, I like it more. And each one we divide into two. So you can have either 2 stats, 6 stats, or 12 stats. And physique is divided into strength, limbness, and health. Strength has brawn and endurance. Limbness has accuracy and speed. Health has recovery and durability. Now, these extra things are add-ons. Okay, they are not needed, the denominations and everything. Now, when we say brawn, we mainly are going to link that to melee attacks. Endurance, exhaustion, and this is going to be more detailed, like what do you mean by melee attacks, but we'll work on this. Endurance is going to have to do with exhaustion, accuracy with ranged and finesse attacks, speed with movement, recovery with regeneration, durability with health points. Now, regeneration might have to deal with a bonus on healing spells or on natural healing at the end of the day, or first aid healing. And maximum health points would be the durability part. And then there's the mentality, which works in the same way, divided into brains, smarts and analysis, knowledge, learning and recall, attraction, manipulate, and influence. I think this is quite clear in what it has to do with in general. Smarts has to do with perception, analysis with investigation, learning with the time you need to learn something, recall, performing anything you learn, and general memory. Manipulate is the bad side, the nasty side of using people, intimidate, lie, deceive, obfuscate, cajole. And influence, charm, enthrall, persuade, attract, dissuade. And okay, this needs more work, but it started today, so give me a chance. So, action economy. While days and larger denominations of time are up to every expansion to divide, hours last 60 minutes, and each minute lasts 6 moments. Each actor, adventurer, or opponent has a turn in every moment. The Dragon Master decides when the game is played moment to moment or when moments flow more naturally. So we have the general time that is more than the day, more than the hour. And then there is the hour that can be divided into 60 minutes, that can be divided into 6 moments. And when you go down to moments, you can play from moment to moment, or in general, you can play on the flow of time, like in a normal gaming session. The Dragon Master can also decide to fast forward days and even months, as described on the fast forward section. So I think it's called downtime in D&D. Yeah, but everybody calls it fast forward. Anyway, So, the moment-to-moment thing, the encounters. As your group enters in a moment-to-moment situation, every actor is assigned a cue. So you go in a queue. It's a D20 plus speed. If you get the same number, the adventurer goes first instead of the opponent. And you get rerolls between adventurers if they have the same thing. When your turn comes, you can make 2 actions and 2 free actions. And that's it. No more additions if you don't need one. Now, I have an example here on how this can, what you can consider action and what can you consider a free action, like attacks and casting and moving and reloading a crossbow and using a magic item can be an action. Seething and sheathing and opening an unsecured door, drinking a potion that was readied, can be a free action. And then there is an add-on. And this is how we will work with add-ons, if you want them. Ambush or wait. A player or opponent can delay his turn in 2 ways. Ambush gives you the opportunity to interrupt something specific. That is something specific that is about to happen and do 1 action. When choosing ambush, you forfeit your turn, and if that something specific does not happen, you forfeit your turn if that something specific doesn't happen, and when it does happen, your turn can only consist of that 1 prepared action. Wait gives you the opportunity to decide to delay your entire turn. When you inform the Dragon Master that you want to play, she reassigns you to the correct position, to the next position in the M2M, the moment-to-moment queue. You have to wait for all the actions of the current actor when you inform the DM. There is a current actor. The current actor has to end the actions that he's doing, and then the DM is going to tell you to butt in and give you your new cue. This is your new cue for the duration of the moment-to-moment. This can lead you to losing turns. Okay, so if you delay and you don't do anything because you're waiting for somebody to do something very specific, and you want to, and you don't even know what this very specific thing is, then you can lose turns. You can lose turns, but as soon as this unspecific thing happens, you can then take your turn and react to it. Not interrupt it, react to it. Okay. This is an add-on. You can use it or not use it. The same thing works for the add-ons that divide physical mentality into smaller things. It's another add-on. And your game designer gets to decide which of these things is going to put in their game as they use the toggle. Okay, now, fast forward. In between sessions or while the adventurers wait for the right conditions to go on, there is time to do stuff. There are professional applications that bring profit. There are arts or crafts that create equipment, research that make goals easier to achieve, and learning opportunities that improve general adventuring. This can have an interesting short-term benefit or a marginal long-term benefit. Short-term benefits of fast-forward activities can be a bard singing in a tavern for tips, a thief copying a key, locating 2 parts of the old sewer that is not used in the new sewer, learning the correct etiquette to address 3 different levels of nobles during card games, and long examples are, okay, this great thing is examples. Are an alchemist learning a new potion recipe, workbench upgraded to cut time on armor repair, getting a new source to trust you, and maybe learn a new language. And we're going to work on equipment, natural tasks, and unnatural, uber-natural tasks. And, okay, equipment, well, you know what I mean. It's everything. Magical equipment, non-magical equipment. We'll see what the basic mechanics are going to be, because we want to be able to use those mechanics for every kind of genre there is, including modern day weapons, future day weapons, I don't know, spaceships and lasers and photon torpedoes. And natural tasks I consider proficiencies and skills, stuff like that, using tools. And uber natural tasks I consider spellcasting, and, well, in High Fantasy, spellcasting. In I don't know, superhero stuff, it's your super ability, and whatever else is not natural. Health, damage, and death. Now, this is something that I haven't worked on at all, and I've seen what I do not want. I do not want an overly complicated system, no matter how wonderful it is. And Relict is a wonderful system in health, damage, and death. Really wonderful. But it's complicated to the rim. And I do not want that. I might take an idea or two of them. I mean, it has a certain point that you kind of make a save if you get an affliction because of how much damage you have up to now. Something like that might be interesting as an add-on, not as the normal thing. The normal thing is going to be easy. It's going to be, I don't know, a 7-year-old easily played thing. And movement. Movement is not going to be that difficult, I think. I don't know. We'll see. And anything else we might see that we need. As you can see, I am passionate about this, and I will do this even if nobody else wants to do this. And I will put it on a shelf and make a site for it so that whenever somebody looks for something like that, they can find it. And I would have loved it if somebody came in with me on this, but I don't know. It would be wonderful. Love company. As you see, we're working in English. My 2 languages are English and Greek, but this is going to be in English. So I'd love to work with Greek people or Greek-speaking people, but the document that we're going to be producing is going to be in English. It's the lingua franca. Well, that's it. A reason to be angry and a reason to be joyous. I'm glad I left you with the joyous part.